Hello and welcome to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. This is a big episode today, a big episode, not in terms of length, but in terms of a huge achievement for my ladies who were on the 6-week group coaching. We are now at the end of this 6-week group coaching intake. And I tell you, the 6 weeks has absolutely flown by. And it has been an absolute privilege to have worked with so many women who were ready to invest in their health, lose weight, and most importantly, feel great. Now, instead of the usual weekly check in form that my ladies usually complete, I have given them a different form this week, and it's a reflection form. So it's a reflection form to mark the end of the 6 weeks and an opportunity for them to reflect on their progress and celebrate all they have achieved and how they feel as a result. And often in life, we're so focused on doing whatever it is that we're doing or moving on to the next thing, or life's going we kind of go through life doing so many things that we very rarely stop and actually reflect on what it is that we're doing and achieving and recognizing how far we've come. So I'm hoping that this form has enabled my ladies to recognize and reflect on the achievements that they have made and how far they have come. Now, I want to tell you that everyone has lost weight, and many have seen a change and a reduction in their measurements. So when we start coaching, they measure certain points of their body, like waist and hips, and some other measuring points. And they also take starting, midway, and finishing photos. And there are some remarkable differences, visible differences in photos. So all measures of progress have moved in the right direction. And alongside this as well is the building of the habits and the behaviors to support their health and their goal. And I'm going to be sharing with you, many of their wins and what they've reflected on. But I really, really do want to highlight that more than the weight loss, and it's an important goal for many. It's a very valid goal, but I don't ever want anyone to lose weight at the detriment of how they feel or the life that they're leading, because it's very important for me that ladies learn how to enjoy and live their life whilst they're working towards a fat loss goal, and that life doesn't have to be put on hold just because you're working towards a fat loss goal. And the ladies in this intake have absolutely proved that, as do all my clients, which is what they learn when they come to me for coaching. Coaching and taking part in this group coaching and all the habits and the behaviors and the things, I call them the things that everyone is doing, has positively impacted how they show up. It's impacted other areas of their life. And so I really do want to emphasize that, yes, they're losing weight, but it's so much bigger than that. So much bigger than that. And if you are listening to this and you're not a client of mine and you are consumed with weight loss and not actually living and focusing on other areas of your life because weight loss and fat loss and dieting has become all too consuming, there is another way, and I can show you that way. And hopefully, by listening to this, you're going to see and understand how that's possible. Um, Now, if you've been listening to me for a while, you will know that helping my clients feel great is always my priority in coaching, and everything that we do in coaching is aimed at achieving this as they work towards their goal. And I'm really pleased that almost all of the clients from this 6-week group coaching program intake are now staying on, and they're going to be continuing to progress towards their goal with my support and the support of a community of other women who are all working towards similar goals. And being part of a supportive community can really make a difference to your success. I know from working with many women, sometimes they feel a bit alone when they're working towards a goal. Perhaps their other friends aren't really interested in it or don't need to lose weight. And sometimes it can feel like a very isolated path, or you're kind of pushing water uphill. And when you know you're not alone, and when you know that you're part of a community, it really does help you in terms of your success, and also not feeling alone. And there is that support from me and from the community. Now, I do want to share with you that my next group coaching intake is going to be on the 1st of August, when I return from my own holiday. Now, I would absolutely, if I wasn't going on holiday, be starting the next intake ASAP. But I am away on my own holiday in July. And if you're thinking that you would love to join group coaching, but who the hell starts working towards weight loss in the summer, I want you to flip that on its head, because actually it is a great time to start coaching. If your usual routine usually gets impacted, you might have kids who are school age, or perhaps you're on your own summer holiday and your usual routine is a little bit in disarray. You lose focus on yourself and what's important to you over the summer, then this is a perfect time to start coaching. And if you're going on holiday, coaching will really benefit you whilst you're away. Do I expect anyone to diet on their holiday? No, unless they want to. But coaching is really going to give you the tools to understand how to make decisions and choices that ultimately support your health, your goal, and how you feel. And you'll actually enjoy summer even more. And you will lose if you have it. You may not know that you have it, but it's what I call the all or nothing mentality. So perhaps in the past, you've gone on holiday, you've been working hard all year, you've saved up for your holiday, and now it's approached, it's coming up, it's upcoming, you're soon to go. And when you arrive on your holiday, you're balls in, and all your preparation, perhaps if you've done some to go on your holiday, has gone out the window, and you come back feeling you come home from holiday feeling really uncomfortable in your body, and almost like at a starting point further away than where you were before your holiday. And now it's the whole big challenge, which has now just got a whole lot bigger, about how to lose the weight you gained on holiday, which is why coaching during the summer is a really great time. And again, I always set realistic expectations. We're not doing a 6-week quick fix. We're spending 6 weeks building habits and behaviors and setting realistic targets so that you can achieve your goal. And when you build these habits and behaviors, you will feel in such a great place mentally and physically. And when you come back off holiday, you're not going to feel the way you may have felt when coming home from previous holidays. And that's kind of a really great reason why you should flip it on its head and think about joining my next group intake. Now, talking of holiday, by the way, you can add your name to my wait list and you'll be notified of my early bird offer. So please, if you're listening to this and you are interested, contact me through the show notes. All my social media is on there, and my email. And if you send me a message or an email, I will add you to my waiting list. Or in the show notes is an application form. That is the best way, because then I will have all your details and then you won't get lost. Messages won't get lost. So have a look in the show notes. Now, talking of holidays, I have a podcast episode all about feeling your best on holiday. It is episode number 33, I believe, and it's the one episode before this episode. So give it a listen. And follow me on social media if you're not already, because I am sharing on social media what I'm doing to get ready for my own holiday, so I feel good in myself and my body when I get on holiday. And it's not necessarily like all focused on weight loss. It's about feeling good. That's what I'm about. Right, enough chatter. from me. Let's hear it from my clients, obviously through me. Let's hear from my clients. Now, what I'm going to be reading out is a combination of the wins of this particular week alongside my clients' reflections on what they've achieved and where they've progressed over the 6 weeks. And I'm going to start with Rebecca. This week, she walked to her nail appointment instead of driving, which may sound like, that's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. If previously, for Rebecca, her step count was pretty low, and we want for health to maintain a certain level of steps every day. It benefits our health. And when it comes to fat loss, the majority of your calorie expenditure, i.e., the calories you burn in a day, comes from our steps. And if steps are low, we're not manipulating weight loss from our calories expended alongside the calories that we intake from food and drink. So now she is finding ways to increase her steps, and this is really, really positive. She also added vegetables to her lasagna dinner, and previously she would have added 2 slices of bread. Now, if you think about that, adding veg to lasagna, so lasagna is a really balanced meal, but adding veg is going to further benefit the nutritional value and the nutrients that she gets from that meal. Vegetables also contain fiber, which again is going to benefit her health. And fiber also keeps you fuller for longer. So she's going to be less likely to snack after dinner because she's going to feel a lot fuller. Having the 2 slices of bread alongside lasagna, when lasagna has already got the carbohydrate source from the pasta, now she has literally massively reduced the calories of that meal by taking out the bread and adding in the vegetables. And in my coaching, we're all about adding in and not focusing on taking out. But what Rebecca has really shown a great example of is making a smart swap. And that's what it's all about. So well done. She's also now eating, this is in her words, she is now eating less rubbish and always making sure she's including at least one piece of fruit or veg with each meal, which is brilliant. And one of my habits for my clients is to add fruit, vegetables, or salad to each of their meals, depending the meal type and their preferences, so that they fill up the space on their plate, and that the majority of their plate is full of vegetable, salad, or fruit. If it's fruit, perhaps it's in a bowl with more of a breakfast sort of, or a snack choice. But adding fruit is now, and veg is now becoming a staple for Rebecca. And this is really going to impact your health and your weight loss goal. Coaching has really helped to understand more about how her body weight fluctuates throughout the week. Previously, she was hyper focused on the scales, and what often happens, and maybe you can relate this to yourself if you're listening. Hopefully, you are listening. That's why you're here listening to me now. Is often we kind of go on a diet, and then we jump on the scales. We see that nothing's happened, nothing's moved on the scales. We think what we're doing isn't working, and so we give up. And then by giving up, we set ourselves further away from the very goal that you want. And what's happened is Rebecca realizes that her body weight, her scale weight, does fluctuate. Scale weight fluctuations don't represent necessarily body fat fluctuations or increases. Body fat will usually go on over time. It's not going to happen overnight. And learning and understanding that this happens, that fluctuations are normal, will reduce you reacting to those scale weight fluctuations. And I encourage my clients to use scale weight and weigh daily, always first thing in the morning, when it's the most accurate measurement to take before food. And I kind of, as a general guideline, if not daily, it's usually around 4-ish times a week. And that way we get a real accurate measurement of scale weight. And then I look at where it was the lowest each week to see how they're progressing. And then that's when we see the graph. It may fluctuate up and down, but it's trending down over time. Now, Tara has also increased her movement and her steps. She works full time. She's got young kids, very busy life. and was really struggling with her movement and just general health because of her lack of movement. And now, when she drops her daughter at Cubs, previously she would have sat in the car waiting for them. Now she gets out, she's using her time well, and she's walking while she's waiting for them. Her steps have gone up. I noticed from the app as well that she's tracked some runs. So she's got back into her running as well, which is great. And she holds herself accountable every day. And this is another great benefit of coaching is, yes, my clients are accountable to me, but I teach them to be accountable to themselves, because ultimately, going forwards, you may not always have access to a coach, and you need to learn to build accountability to yourself. And I provide and help and support with that. So great news, Tara. She's also now adding fruit to her breakfast, which is great. She uses frozen fruit. She was forgetting to get it out the freezer, but now she's into a bit of a routine. And again, fruits are high in fiber and they're benefiting her health and her fullness. She's also much more aware of protein as well, which is really great. And she says in her own words, the past 6 weeks have been wonderful. I've been moving more every day. I've noticed the difference in my body and my energy. I've got more knowledge around foods and food quantities, which I've never had before. And I'm eating a lot more protein. I've started consistent habits and behaviors that I aim to continue, such as adding extra protein and fruits to my food shopping. Tara loves having targets and goals to achieve, and she's never ever paid attention to her calories before, ever in her life. And she actually had no idea about food values, food calories, what protein was, how many she should eat. And now she does. She is really proud of her consistency and recognizes that she hasn't always been perfect. And this is a really another valuable point. And if you follow me on social media and you listen to my podcast, you will know that I actively encourage my clients not to be perfect, because being perfect can often set you up to fail. Because what happens if you can't do things perfectly? When you can't do things perfectly, you tend to quit because it's either perfection or nothing. And when you embrace being imperfect but consistent, you will make more progress. She's proud that she's made changes towards her overall health and well-being, which she 100% plans to continue. So great news there. Now, Sonia took on board my feedback, it was a couple of weeks ago now. She had reached a plateau. She's obviously been sticking to her diet. Weight loss is one of her, main goals. And she took on board my feedback and didn't quit when her scale weight wasn't moving. And now it's paid off and her scale weight has dropped. And again, going back to the scales, there are so many reasons why your scale weight fluctuates or why you won't see it move or go down. So the best advice I can give, and that I gave to Sonia and to anyone listening, is you have to just stay consistent and really notice if any of your behaviors have slipped. So if you're tracking and you kind of, you're honest with yourself, maybe your tracking hasn't been quite as accurate, or you've been picking up food and not tracking it, or you've been going over your calories perhaps. Sometimes the behaviors can contribute to a scale weight plateau. But even if it isn't those things, just staying consistent is all what you need to do. And you do that over time, and then you will see that you will see that movement on the scales. Amber's been on holiday. She has kids. She was away over half term, and her big win, this was last week, her big win was that she enjoyed herself on holiday whilst being away. She made really smart choices whilst being away, and she's come back without gaining any weight. Previously, this may not have been the case, but she now has the tools to be able to make those smarter choices. And mentally, she feels a lot better in herself. She feels a lot more present with her children and her partner. And this just brings this is music to my ears, Amber, because it really does reflect that coaching and losing weight is so much more than just losing weight. it has impacted your your children, it has impacted your husband, and it's improving the quality of your life. And that's just like really incredible. I'm so pleased for you. You also recognize, Amber, that you have more knowledge and that you have the tools to continue making progress towards your weight loss goal. And you recognize that you can actually eat a lot more whilst you're dieting than you previously did. And I want to pick you up on this point because it's a really great point that you've brought up here. And what often happens, and when I get ladies come to me for coaching for the first time, is they often say to me, wow, you've given me a lot of calories. And the calories I've given are deficit calories. Obviously, we need to trial them. We need to see how I see how my clients adhere and get on. But what often happens is people put themselves on such low calories, which all sounds amazing, but if you can't stick to them, or you do for a day and then you can't anymore, or you go out on a Saturday night and you think, well, I'm not going to stick to those low calories, so I'm just going to go for it. When you set realistic targets, and in fact, this is what Amber says, I'm going to read it in her voice. And she says, in her words, my knowledge on food and knowing that I have realistic and manageable targets makes success a lot easier to achieve. And you're 100% correct, right? And you're proving it and you're living it. So huge, huge, well done. The other achievement that Amber has is she's stuck. She's stuck to this for 6 weeks, and I'm confident that she's going to continue sticking to it. She's even managed to stick to this when life has got stressful, and instead of turning to food in stressful times, she's actually recognized that the high fat, sugary foods that she thought was helping her feel better actually were just a temporary high. And mentally, she feels a lot better when she's eating the more nutritious food. And this is when you really understand how food makes you feel. Food isn't, yes, it's calories, yes, it's energy, yes, it's pleasure, but different foods make you feel different ways. And it's really great that you've tuned into that and you recognize how different foods make you feel. And if you're listening to this, it's a really good point for you to think about when you're reaching for maybe those foods that aren't aligning with your goal, is really thinking about how is it going to make you feel and making a decision. The group coaching, Amber says she has loved having the group to turn to, and that when I encourage questions, she's never felt that no question was too small or too silly, which is what I encourage, and that's amazing. I'm a bit out of order. I'm going back to Sonia. Sorry, Sonia, I'm going back to you. One of the reflections that on Sonia's 6-week reflection is that she really now does think about what she's going to eat at meal times now. She doesn't just grab what's the quickest. She now keeps high protein foods and snacks available, which goes back to setting up your environment. And I've done a podcast. In fact, I've done a 3-part mini series all about this. It's different color podcast icon. It stands out, it's pink, you'll notice it. But setting up your environment and having the foods available to support your goal is going to support you in making those choices. And Sonia has now learnt this, which is great. She also recognizes that sometimes she doesn't feel like going to the gym, but she knows that if she gets herself out the door, she is going to feel better. And this falls back into, if you wait to feel motivated, you could be waiting a very long time, because motivation, although we say we feel or don't feel motivated, motivation is actually driven by action. And if you want to feel motivated, you need to get to the gym to feel good. Eventually, when you do that consistently, you're going to begin to see progress. And it is the feeling good and the progress that gives you the motivation to keep doing it. So it's great that you're not waiting for motivation and that you're doing it even when you don't feel like it. Now, Laura. So Laura she's away at the moment. She's very lucky. She's on her second holiday, pretty much back to back. And what's really great is that she says she's been more mindful with her food choices. And importantly, between the 2 holidays, she resumed her usual way of eating. So, of course, holidays are an ideal opportunity to taste new foods, to enjoy new foods, to relax a little, to enjoy a couple of drinks, etc. But when you come back off holiday, the sooner you get back to your usual routine, the better. Because if you let your holiday sort of, oh, I can just, yeah, I'm just going to just let it roll over, and you don't get back to your usual routine, you're actually delaying your start point and also getting further away from the actual goal that you want. So if you are going on a holiday, or Laura, when you come back from this one, you're staying in group coaching, we are going to have you back straight back on it. And all your targets have been reset now. So go take a look. Um, she has loved, she has enjoyed the team approach that you get from group coaching. And this is really important that I'm going to read out. Now, for Laura personally, she's been going through a very challenging and stressful time over these past 6 weeks. And she says it's probably been the most challenging 6 weeks of the year for her to have started coaching. But I want to emphasize here that there is never the perfect time to start. And often people are like, oh, yeah, I'm going to start a diet when? When you don't have anything in your diary, when you've had your birthday, when this, when that. And actually, when you realize that there's never a perfect time to start, you just have to start, you will make small positive changes that will greatly impact you. And for Laura, um, she's now improving the quality of her nutrition. She's eating more protein. She recognizes that she needs to do more resistance training. And when she comes back off holiday, I will be supporting her in implementing that and integrating it into her busy life. She appreciates it's a long process. It's not a quick fix. She's only at the start, but she is in the mindset to continue. And that's all I need to hear. And I'm looking forward to Laura's return from holiday. So, Stella, you enjoyed a Chinese takeaway as a celebration reaching the end of your uni course, your degree. And what's really amazing is you didn't go crazy. In your words, you didn't let it lead to going crazy. And often, maybe you've been in this situation, like we all have, I'm sure. I know I have, where you might eat one thing that maybe you perceive you shouldn't have. You eat the extra biscuit, or you enjoy a delicious meal. And then instead of just enjoying it and getting on with your day, is you let that one enjoyable meal or that one extra biscuit impact the next decisions you take, because you think, oh, and you can't see me, but I'm doing speech air quotes, ruined things, when in fact you haven't ruined anything. You've just enjoyed a delicious meal. You're moving on with your day. What ruins your progress is when you let your choice lead to craziness, or making more poor choices, or not even more poor choices, but just going on to the next indulgent food, because then you really do take yourself further away from your goal. You slow down fat loss. But for you to enjoy a delicious Chinese meal, there's absolutely no issue with that. And I'm so glad that you enjoyed it and just got on with things. You're much more mindful about eating, you're feeling stronger, and you're generally feeling so much better. Your steps are really high compared to when you very, very first started. They're super high. And really important, what Stella has said in her check-in form, and something that's important for everyone to hear, is that she's learned that mistakes can be made, but it's the learning and the changing from them that's important. And I always say that you only fail forwards. And I have lots of clients who mess up, right? We're all human. I mess up. We all mess up. But it's what you learn from the situation that you can take with you into the next situation, so that you reduce your risk of messing up. You reduce the frequency that it happens. And this is progress. So a huge, huge well done. She's loved the community that comes with group coaching, which is brilliant. She has lost weight and she is feeling much better for it. Now, I have had one topic come up as a challenge this week, and I'm going to be recording a podcast separate as well as an education series. And I'm actually delayed in recording this. I did record it, and my computer crashed, and I didn't lose, and I lost it all, and I just couldn't re-record it on that same day. It was exhausting. So I will be re-recording it. And if you struggle with overeating when you're stressed, message me, contact me, and I will let you have a link to that education series. It's all prepared. I just need to re-record it. So I'm not going to get into that in depth today. What I would say is if you are able to recognize when you're beginning to feel stressed, and what you've done is this comes under emotional eating, because stress is an emotion, it's a feeling. And when you first recognize the signs that stress is beginning to build up, or that you're feeling stressed, and sometimes there may be physical signs like a tingling sensation, an increase in your heart rate, perhaps you get a bit, I don't know, antsy, agitated. Everyone is different, but as soon as you can recognize that, is I would advise you to take what's called the pause. And a pause is where you give yourself, it can be a moment, it can be a few minutes, it can be as long as you're able to implement, and you give yourself a pause and you ask yourself, what is it that I am feeling? And you can say this out loud, and you name your feeling. So you would say, I am stressed. And then you can ask yourself, what would help me feel less stressed? And you learn to develop other ways to cope and soothe yourself outside of food. Now, food does give us comfort sometimes, but we don't want to rely on it all the time. And does, eating food or overeating on certain food, does that actually make you feel less stressed? Maybe momentarily, but after, you'll probably be full of regret and wish you had done something different. So try and implement the pause. Ask yourself, what is it that you need that will help you feel less stressed? And it's a good idea to write yourself a self-soothing list. It might be going out for a 2-minute walk. It might be just sitting in the garden. It might be calling a friend. It might be leaving the room and going somewhere else, or getting up from wherever it is that you are. It can be anything, whatever is relevant to you that will help you feel less stressed. So that's something you can start with straight away. Now, one of the questions on the check-in form is, what did you enjoy most about group coaching? I've already kind of integrated some of those answers into the reflections from the beginning of this podcast, but here are a few more. Rebecca enjoyed being accountable every day, and I want to emphasize that it's a 6-week group coaching, but I am active in the group coaching chat group every single day. I set different challenges and targets, topics. The ladies can chat amongst themselves, which they often do. We shared funny memes the other day, which was very amusing. So there is accountability every day. She's enjoyed being part of a group of women with lots of similarities to herself in terms of stage of life, and also recognizes that often as women, we often put everyone else before ourselves. And having an environment that supports making time for yourself has been really beneficial. Another bit of feedback is the coaching app and my communication has been great. And that the podcast feedback, which I do each week from check-ins, has been really enjoyable to listen to and learn from. And that all the resources I give out to my clients has been super helpful and well put together. Thank you very much. And that everything was well set up at the start, and that you could start working on the program straight away. Another question is, what has group coaching helped you most, and what have you learned? And Sonia says that I encourage and praise everyone, never belittle what anyone might think that they perceive as failure. And she is most proud of seeing that she has the ability to make progress, and that there is a big difference from her start and end pictures. And what I can surmise from this, Sonia, is perhaps you had a little bit of a lack of self-belief in your ability. And I'm so pleased that you have made progress and that self-belief has increased. And when you come back from your holiday, I'm looking forward to getting back to it. Now, lastly, this feels really weird to be reading this about myself, but I'm going to go for it. How would you describe Debra and her coaching method? And the first comment is realistic, exclamation marks. Not having to be perfect all the time, but being consistent and makes me feel that I can reach my goal. I have Deborah has very good knowledge, very good and knowledgeable. It's another comment. It's good. There's no unrealistic goals. There's no guilt tripping if you are unable to meet a target one week. Her methods work and it's easy to follow and stick to. Another comment, it's very motivating and highly supportive and understanding, a very down to earth human approach. I like that. Thank you very much. Deborah is very informal and friendly, not pressured at all, but very supportive. Deborah is so enthusiastic and kind. She is amazing at motivating and encouraging all of us. Her methods clearly work over time, and she knows what she is talking about as she has worked in the industry for so long. Okay, no need to emphasize how long. Let's not talk about age, but yes, I do have a lot of experience, and I'm so pleased that you have enjoyed my coaching method and my style, and of course, my personality. What would you say to anyone thinking of joining my next group coaching program? Are you listening to this, wondering whether you should join the next group coaching program? Sonia says, just do it, take the leap. Debra will help you in so many ways, mentally and physically. You will reach your goals and never have to miss out on the things that you enjoy. Another comment is, do it. It's helped me understand a little more about weight loss, even after years of yo-yo dieting. And this is what I'm just going to interject here. This is what I pride my coaching on most, is most of my clients have a big dieting history and come from a yo-yo dieting background. And through my coaching, they learn to no longer need to yo-yo diet. What would you say about joining my coaching program? It's so helpful, worth it to start the change. 100% do it. It will give you a good starting point to a better version of you. I have nothing to add to that. So get in touch, join my wait list. And I just want to say to the ladies on this group coaching intake, thank you so much. It has been a privilege working with you all. I have loved it so much, honestly. And I can't wait to continue working with the majority of you who have stayed on. And to the ladies that are leaving us, you know you are always welcome back. We will always stay in touch. And I'm here if you need me anytime. Reach out. Have a great rest of your day.